All right, if you're a loyal subscriber to the channel, you know that Johnny Wrestling and I go way back. I lived in Cleveland for 5 years. I've known Johnny for over a decade. I first met him when he was tearing it up on the Midwest independent scene. And then when he got signed by WWE, we started this tradition of doing an interview every single year during WrestleMania weekend. So 2017, we did this interview at his apartment in Orlando. The next year, 2018, in the lobby of the hotel in New Orleans. 2019, right after he won the NXT Championship at TakeOver Brooklyn, we did this in New York. In 2020 and 2021, we didn't sit down together because of, everything going on in the world. But the tradition continued this last weekend in Dallas, and things look a little bit different for Johnny this time around. And things look a little bit different for me when I put on these Christopher Kluse sunglasses. Kind of makes me feel like my old backyard wrestling alter ego, Chris Sharp.
What was going through your mind when you went in the barber shop and asked the barber, can you please cut my hair like a 12-year-old girl?
So if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen I wear quite a few different pairs of these Christopher Kluse sunglasses. I just love them because they're light, they are obviously stylish, and they're just cool. And they're a little bit more formal, so they kind of dress up anything that you're wearing. And yes, that is singer Robin Thicke rocking Christopher Kluse. I love him. Robin Thicke loves him. You know who else loves him? Tom Brady loves him. He loves him so much that he partnered with Christopher Kluse for a line of sunglasses. These are actually from that line of sunglasses. So are these. Oh yeah, how about those? So if you're a football fan, you'll remember after the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl, they had that boat parade in the Bay. And yes, these were the glasses that he was wearing when he was tossing the Lombardi trophy from one boat to the other. And yes, before you write it in the comments, we had to blur the Lombardi trophy for copyright reasons. You can never be too safe. These glasses are just so high quality, and you feel that as soon as you put them on. And look, Christopher Kluse understands that sunglasses are something that you do have to try on. So not only do they have free shipping, they also have free returns and free exchanges forever. And because they want you looking sharp, Chris Sharp, I don't know why I took the glasses off to then put them right back on. They want to hook you up with the best deal that you'll find online. Click the link in the description and use my code and you'll get 20% off. That's pretty substantial. 20% off your pair of Christopher Kluse glasses. And hey, if they're good enough for the GOAT, they clearly should be good enough for you. Now let's continue the tradition of the hotel room interviews. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Johnny Gargano.
All right. The tradition continues. It's WrestleMania weekend.
Here we are.
And here we are.
Back again.
Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you.
You're a father.
Yeah, you can probably see the tiredness on my face and hear it in my voice. I don't think I've slept in, really slept, in 2 months.
What's the most amount of sleep that you've had since you became a father?
Probably the 3-hour flight from Orlando to Dallas that I took today. I think that's the most continual sleep I've had without a little crazy human being going like, babies make a lot of noise. I don't know if you know this.
I've heard.
They make a lot of noise, the most noise.
But and then the night or the day you bring home your baby for the first time, and they're making all these noises, are you like, oh, is that a good noise or bad noise?
So I would freak out about it. Luckily, we have the internet, so you just kind of look at the internet and be like, is this normal? And they're like, yeah, sure, it's normal. If it was 1990s, I couldn't imagine my mom, when I was a baby, making all these noises, she'd probably be freaking out. Yeah, I think she was freaking out. I think at one point there was a story where I was so gassy. Babies, I don't know if you know this, when they poop, they straight up straight up just cartoony poop. And I believe I did that, and my mom freaked out and tried to rush me to the hospital because she thought I was dying or something. But anymore, you just have the internet. You're like, is this normal? Like, yeah, sure, it's fine.
And then your mom gets to the hospital and they go, oh no, your son was just going to the bathroom.
Pretty much, yes, that's exactly. Yeah.
How do you and Candice split up the duties?
We don't. Candice does a lot of the feeding because, she
makes
has
sense. She has the apparatus.
She has the milk farm that the baby is eating from. So I tried to handle all of the diaper changing.
Oh, wow.
I know, which is a lot because my dad, he's very proud of the fact that he never changed a single one of my diapers. Not one.
He's proud of that?
Proud of it. He said, I never changed a single diaper. And I have changed, at this point, I can't even have a count on it because literally it never stops. Wow. Every hour, every 15 minutes sometimes, Just change and change and change and poop and more poop and more poop and pee and more poop. And
So is Candice going to be like, I'm so proud, I've never changed a diaper?
so she changes too,
Okay.
but I just try to step in because
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not doing anything. So I got to really kind of, I can't feed him without a bottle.
Right.
So I just try to change all the poopiness. So
I walked by your booth earlier today, and you just had like a bunch of baby gifts there.
Yeah, I appreciate that now. Like I've kind of accepted I'm going to take a step back as the star of the household. Basically, the rankings in the household now go: Quill is number 1, the dog Padme is number 2, Candice is number 3, and I'm a solid number 4. So I'm fine with that.
Well, as long as you recognize that.
Yeah,
What was
I know my
What was the
role.
ranking before? You were just number 3.
Yeah, I was number 3.
Yeah.
yeah.
You were
So
still last
I
place.
I'm just still getting stepped down one more. Which
Yeah,
I'm fine
just
with it.
absolute
Yeah,
last place.
Always
though.
last place. Yeah.
So if you have any more kids or any more animals, you'll just
Keep stacking them up.
Yep,
Yeah,
you'll
I'm
just
always
keep
going to be in
going.
last place. Unless we get a really sucky kid. Then maybe I might hop in.
If maybe Sucky Kid becomes the number 2.
Yeah, maybe,
But
yeah.
you're still last place.
Yes, always,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
What kind of gifts did you get?
So we have baby books.
You can show 'em off if you
we're,
want.
there's, we're in
Let's
we're
see,
in my
this is
hotel
great.
room. There's no secret
Yeah.
here. We have from a fan named Lisa, who I believe is Adventures with Bailey. She makes all the signs.
Oh,
remember all like the
yes.
Bailey signs and all like she had Johnny Wrestling signs.
Yeah, yeah.
All the signs you see, Lisa makes them. And she was at my appearance today, and she brought a bunch of baby books, kind of Marvel.
Look at that.
And,
Night Night Groot.
this as well.
Is every word in this book I am Groot? Then the
I
next
hope
page
so.
I am Groot.
I hope so. A
Legends
bunch
of Wrestling Alphabet.
Yeah.
Man, look at
little
this.
shirts. We got a Gerald. Gerald is one of my favorite Disney characters. Plush there.
Man.
We got onesies. You can never have enough onesies. Bibs, the Iron Man bib there.
Wow.
Very on brand for Quill.
If someone comes and gives you a baby gift, you go, all right, and then my photo amount is this much. Like you.
No, I'm very nice. I don't know about the people that I deal with vendor
thanks
wise.
for the gift, and now pay me for the photo.
I wouldn't go that far.
This is great, though. I mean, this is a whole new chapter of your life in
Yeah.
so many ways.
Yeah.
We've sat in multiple hotel rooms or different spots. WrestleMania. I was at your house the first time we
Yeah.
did
Oh,
WrestleMania
yeah.
in
Yeah, yeah,
Orlando.
yeah.
Then it was a lobby
My
of a
apartment.
hotel.
That wasn't even the house.
That's right.
That was when I first moved to Orlando. Me and Tommaso were living together.
That's right.
Tommaso was, I think, in the house while.
And he wasn't like on TV at the time. He
I
was
don't
just,
think so, right?
No.
I can't remember now. No, I think we were still teaming though, weren't we?
I don't.
I think was that WrestleMania weekend in Orlando. So it was
Yeah.
me and Tommaso against Revival and
Oh
Auto
yeah,
Fame.
yeah. And then it was the last time we did an interview in person was 3 years ago in New York.
Yeah, it feels like it was so much longer than that.
So how does it feel now? Like this is your WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah, I get I don't even think about it that way because I've been so disconnected for so long. Like when I left NXT in December, I haven't done anything wrestling related since then. So this is my first kind of foray back into this. And it was really fun to be able to come here. And it's really fun during this time period of my life to kind of be very picky and choosy of what I want to do and where I want to do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's WrestleMania weekend. WrestleCon could be fun. I've never done a WrestleCon before. So to show up and see a lot of faces I haven't seen in forever.
Yeah.
It's so I think every single person in wrestling is at WrestleCon right now.
That's how this works.
It's so
Yeah.
weird. I'm like, oh, I know everyone here. It's crazy.
But look, this happens every year. But every other year you've been here at WrestleMania weekend, you've been so focused on everything that you were doing.
Yeah.
Well, the city was still filled with literally everybody in wrestling.
Yeah, and I'm no secret or no. It's nothing new to me to be on the Indies and WrestleMania weekend. I did it for literally 10 years before I went to WWE. So literally my last WrestleMania weekend where I did independent wrestling appearances was 2016 in Dallas, Texas. And the way it all works out and full circle comes back around, my first independent appearances, not with WWE, is back here in Dallas, Texas. And I don't know how it worked out that way, but here we are.
Wow. How do you feel about everything? You just did the interview with Renee recently, so now it's kind of out there how like you kind of dealt with everything. Now that it's out there and people are able to digest it, how are you feeling about it?
As far as my time or how I'm feeling?
Yeah,
or
just
what?
that was the first time you really spoke about why you left WWE, and now it's out there.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about leaving?
I feel very content. It was just a time period of my life where I was like, that chapter I felt was closed as well as I could close it, to be able to end on that note and end that story the right way and get that opportunity to go out there and basically thank everybody I wanted to thank. And I thanked people that don't even work for the company anymore. I had no restraints. I literally just went out there and spoke from the heart.
Wow.
And it was not scripted. And to be able to do that, I mean, like I said in the Renee interview, like to be able to be given that platform to do that, that's an incredible amount of trust, and that shows you the relationship I have and continue to have with people in WWE and people in NXT, to where they trusted me to go out there on live television with a live microphone.
Yeah.
I could have literally said, I am signing with this place, and slammed down the microphone. Like, literally, I could have done anything I wanted.
Yeah.
But I have way too much respect for everyone in that building, way too much respect for everyone in that company. And like I said, I have such a great relationship there that it just felt like at the time and now, I just want to go out and have the chance to do my own thing and make my own choices and see what else is out there. Because I don't think you can only get a very a rare time to let your deal run out. A lot of people don't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
People are still on a contract for years and years and years. Like, my deal was coming up, and I just knew that I wanted to have this time to kind of reassess things.
You're also one of the very rare people who's been able to leave on their own terms over the last, especially over the last 2 years with everything that's happened with, everything with COVID, that you basically decided and said, I'm going to go bet on myself now.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's on a T-shirt too. So I mean, it's I branded it.
I was kind of throwing that out there.
Of course.
So
Yeah.
Plugging that for you.
Yeah, ProWrestlingTees.com/Johnny Gargano.
There it
Go ahead
is.
and check it out.
At what point do you feel like things changed for you and you went, I know my contract's coming up, but maybe I'm not going to renew that?
Like I said, I think the last year I kind of knew that I accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish in NXT. And there's not to say that I could have went to Raw and SmackDown and did other things. I just knew coming up on it, like, I knew I didn't want to resign, but there was also still that option of maybe I do want to resign. Like, I made my mind up, but I was also like, there was a little like 1% chance. I always said like 99% chance I don't resign, because there was still like a 1% chance I could have.
Yeah.
But I feel like when Candice got pregnant, that's when the 1% kind of went away. And I was like, I don't want to have anyone be in charge of my time during the time period where I'm with Quill. I don't want to be sitting at home and have a Connecticut number call me and say, you need to go be at this show or go do this appearance. I just wanted to have a clean slate, leave on that note, and then be able to come back in the future or go elsewhere.
And that's so interesting, because there's a lot of people that would go, oh my God, I'm about to be a father for the first time. My wife is pregnant. I need to take the most secure thing that I can possibly take. And you didn't do that.
That's where the whole bet on yourself thing comes into play. Because I'm kind of just hoping that this time period where, again, I talked on it, but not only like from a physical standpoint, but also a mental standpoint, to be able to give myself a refresh to where I can step away from wrestling, step out of that bubble, and also, I don't want to say learn to love it again, because I'm always going to love it, but just reignite that passion I had for it to its maximum amount. And also, I just wanted to be in the best place mentally for Quill and for Candice and for Padme.
Career-wise, I imagine you'll always do something with wrestling, but are you looking to do stuff elsewhere as well?
I'm always looking to do. I feel like this time period of my life is kind of that figuring out who I am outside of wrestling time period. But I also, like you said, I'm always going to love wrestling. I'm always going to want to be a part of wrestling in some way, shape, or form, because that's just who I am. I'm Johnny Wrestling for a reason, I guess. But it's really interesting, because I've done wrestling stuff for like 16 years of this.
Yeah, like your whole adult life.
My whole life.
Yeah.
So who am I outside of wrestling? That's kind of the time period now where I'm going to kind of try to answer that existential question in my life of what am I outside of wrestling?
When was the last time in your life that wrestling wasn't the main focus?
Probably when I was like 8 years old, when I liked Power Rangers.
Yeah. So, I mean, are you going to go back to who
Being a Power Ranger? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, right.
That's my new profession.
But I mean, are you going to go back to whatever the mindset was at 8 years old of like when you're 8 years old, you can be anything and do anything that you want to do.
Be a Power Ranger.
Absolutely. You can still be a Power Ranger.
I could be. I know, that's the thing.
Yeah, that's
so
possible.
maybe I will.
Have you taken this time to like reflect on like, well, I'm probably going to have some matches, but like, what do I want to do after this?
Yeah. It's hard, because obviously the name Johnny Gargano around wrestling is always going to be beneficial money-wise. Like, people are always going to want to see me, want to meet me, want to see me wrestle, want to learn from me. So in reality, I have a job for life. Like, I could go back to WWE and be a producer. I can go back to WWE, be a coach. I could go do whatever. I could train people in my own thing.
Is that door open at WWE?
Yes. I mean, I hope so. I'd assume so. Like I said, I have a great relationship with everyone there. And I'm very lucky that I have that. Because that's always in the back of my mind of what I'm going to do after wrestling. Because there's a big part of me that says I only want to wrestle till I'm 40. and that's only like 6 years away at this point.
Yeah.
So I feel like I have about 5 years left to really kind of maximize whatever I want to do in this.
Yeah, and then it's like, then whatever you do between the time that you started wrestling and 40 now becomes your legacy.
Yeah, I know that's the big thing. That's the thing I struggle with the most, because there's that question of like, okay, like if I want to go do indies again, or if I want to go to AEW, or if I want to go to Impact, or I want to go to ROH, or if I want to go back to WWE. Like my dream growing up, obviously, a lot of little kids' dreams is to wrestle for WWE.
Yeah.
To wrestle at WrestleMania, to be WWE champion. And that was always my dream, and that still is my dream. But there's also things that change those dreams, like having a baby, wanting to be home more, wanting to like. So there's a lot of things I'm juggling right now of like legacy mixed with being a good dad, mixed with how do I maximize the time I have left. Like it's a lot of just questions I got to answer, and like I don't know what that is yet. I'm just hoping that as this all plays out, the right answer and the right path will kind of show itself to me.
And like, since you didn't win the WWE Championship, is you winning the NXT Championship, is that the moment for you?
That for me during that time period, yes, that was my goal.
Yeah.
My ultimate goal. That was like the moment I could dream of. But like I said, I am, as you know, being from Cleveland, we're kind of built to be underdogs. We're built to have a chip on our shoulder. So I'm always looking for that next mountain to climb, because I feel like I'm constantly doubted. I'm constantly looked down upon. Again, that's just a Cleveland mindset to have. You're constantly being beaten down on. So I'm always looking to prove people wrong however I can. So if someone's going to tell me, if you go to Raw or SmackDown, you're going to fail, I'm going to be like, well, I feel like I can do this, or I feel like I can do that. And if I believe in myself, and again, it comes down to betting on yourself.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things, but like again, is that what I ultimately want?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The first time that I ever met you, I was doing an interview with you for Channel 19 News in Cleveland, WOIO, and we were promoting the independent wrestling show that you were doing. I interviewed you and Gregory Iron, who's awesome. And I remember you saying off camera, you were like, it's WWE. This was the time when Impact was doing the gut check.
Yeah.
And you were like, no, I want to go to WWE.
Yep.
And I remember like seeing you then maybe a year later, and then maybe a year after that, and it was still like, I want to go to WWE.
Yep.
When did you finally get on WWE's radar?
Oh, man. I don't think I was fully on WWE's radar until 2015, 16. I believe I signed in 2016. And I had a tryout in 2015. Might have been 16 as well. I can't. My brain doesn't work anymore. Might have been 16 or 15. 15 or 16.
Is this dad brain?
I think so.
Or
Or
like
dad brain, or really tired brain, or been doing a meet and greet for 5 hours nonstop brain. One of those. They're all kind of blending together now.
Maybe, dropped on the head a few times.
Yeah,
brain.
too. Yeah,
Who
CTE
knows?
brain. Yeah. Like 2015, 2016, I think is when I fully got on their radar, and that was thanks to a guy named William Regal, obviously. William Regal was a big proponent of independent wrestlers and guys like me who were undersized, who wasn't given an opportunity during that time period. And then it's so crazy to be in that window to where from 2016 to 2021 when I left, like I felt like I had a hell of a run. Like I maximized my time there for sure. Like especially
absolutely.
in NXT, like matches and the stuff I was the opportunities I was given to be able to go out there and main event takeovers in front of 15,000 seat arenas. Like today, being able to do that meet and greet and sign and stuff like that, it just is very reassuring to have people come up to me and share their stories of how I've affected their life. Because it is wild to think that when I was younger, the boyhood dream of Shawn Michaels is what made me want to be a wrestler.
Yeah.
And for some kids out there, me winning the NXT title to take over New York is going to be what made them want to be a wrestler.
Yeah.
So it's cool to have that kind of legacy in itself.
But before you were even recognized by WWE, you were like definitely on a lot of people's radar in the Midwest. Like you were a big name in the Midwest. Was there ever a time when you were like, oh, if I could just do this, I would get their attention, or if I could just do that, I could get their attention?
No, I never WWE was obviously always the dream, but it was always one of that question of like, I know I'll be there eventually, but I knew that in my brain, but I also in the back of my head, there's always that question of like, do they want someone like you? Like I am always going to think that whatever I did from 2016 to 2021, that was never supposed to happen. Like the Johnny Gargano story, that whole run I had in NXT, like to think about it, the fact that I was told no at my tryout in 2015, 16, whenever it was, me and Tommaso were both told no, there wasn't a spot for you in NXT. To go from that to going to where I'm ending 2021 on NXT television, getting the chance to say goodbye my own way on live television. Like, it's crazy to go from that in that building being told no to being in that building in 2021 and being given the honor and respect to go out there on live television with a microphone and say whatever you want to say. Like, that's wild.
That's unreal. How did you get that no to change into a yes?
I think just
because that for a lot of people, they hear no and it's like, well, guess they don't want me.
Like you said, I had that Cleveland mentality where I'm never going to take no for an answer, and I just used that to work harder. And that's not to say I wasn't working hard in the first place, but all I need is for you to open the door a little bit. And if you open the door a little bit, I'm gonna kick it down. My story, I feel, I'm never like you. I guess you say the name Johnny Gargano, Johnny Wrestling. People think like, oh, he's a very successful star, like he's a very successful wrestler. But I am never gonna be that guy who is like no matter what, the first draft pick, right? I'm never gonna be the guy you look at and you're like, that guy right there, that's who I'm gonna build my company around. That's just not me. I'm not built that way. I'm the guy where you open the door a little bit and I sneak through, and once I'm in there, like I'm working my balls off. And ultimately I get where I want to be. And I'm always gonna think in the mindset where I'm a top guy. Like no matter what, I'm always gonna say I'm gonna get to the top spot. I'm not gonna start there because that's not how I am. That's not how people view me. But you start me at the bottom, I promise you, I will work like crazy to get to that top spot.
I love this so much. Yeah. So what was the match or the moment where you feel like they went, oh, we can really do something with this guy in NXT?
So I feel like my match with Andrade at TakeOver Philadelphia, that was the first match where I main evented a TakeOver. I feel like that match was the one that kind of solidified them of like, wow. Oh, like hearing the crowd reaction, seeing the match in itself, hearing the praise that match got. I feel like that was really what got them. And what got there, honestly, was me and Tommaso, obviously, versus Revival was very, very, everyone loved those tag team matches we had. But that was just a tag match. And I feel like that's always kind of been my story. It's like I start as a like this guy, he is what he is. He's just he's an extra. Like we'll just use him as an extra.
But that's getting in the door.
Let's put him in a tag team.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy's great in tag matches. This guy's great in tag matches, but he's just strictly a tag match wrestler. Let's put him in a singles match. Oh, he's a really good singles match wrestler. Oh, but can he tell a story? Oh, wait, he did a story too. Oh, wait, no, he doesn't have a character though. Oh, wait, now he's cutting promos too. Oh, like it's one of those where everyone it's constantly doubted every single time, and that's what I love. I love being doubted because I love people telling me I can't do something. Because you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to want to do it even more. So I felt like having that opportunity against Andrade in Philadelphia actually came from a match in we and Andrade did a match in San Antonio at a house show for NXT, and it was the opener, and it was right before TakeOver War Games in Texas. And Hunter was there that night, and me and Andrade went out there, and I looked at Andrade and said, hey man, let's go out there and just freaking kill it. Like, let's go nuts. And of course, Andrade's always game. I love working on Andrade. He's one of the best in the world. So we went out there and we freaking tore it down. And I feel like Hunter sitting there and being live and watching that match live, being like, wait a minute. And especially during that time period, too, I hired a nutritionist. So I was looking all shredded. I was looking leaned up. And it's one of those things where you kind of need both. You need to look a certain way. You need to wrestle a certain way. You need to act a certain way. It's such a big, everything kind of perfect storm moment that led to ultimately take over Philadelphia.
Yeah, like when you got so jacked.
Yeah,
like super shredded.
Yes.
To the point where you didn't even flex and you still had abs.
Yeah.
You still have that right now?
No, I got dad bod right now. I got dad bod right now. But that's one of those things too, where like that I feel takes such a toll out of me as well. Like having to, for my body type, I need to diet down a lot and get super ripped. Because when you're super ripped, you appear way bigger than you actually are.
What were you actually weighing at that time?
I don't remember. I mean, like still probably like, I think I was like 180 or something like that. Okay. But like it's not like I'm sure I'm going to be pitched as like 200 something or whatever.
Sure.
But like you just look so much bigger when you're leaner. So I love food. I'm an Italian kid. My dad owns a catering company. Like I've grown up being a fat kid all my life. So I got to kind of hide my inner fat kid to diet down a lot and get super lean. Because that's another thing for me. Like when I return to wrestling, I feel like I need to look a certain way. Because Triple H always put it in my head to where when you're gone for a long period of time, when you come back, you got to be super jacked. Everyone remember when Triple H like tore his quads?
Of course.
Came back at Madison Square Garden, freaking jacked to the gills. Right. Obviously, I'm never gonna be that big, but I mean, I gotta look good.
Yeah, I love that mentality of like, because it's also you're only as good as your last match, your last appearance, or your last promo or whatever. So now when you come out, you're now as good as this one.
This moment, yeah. Everyone's going to judge you based on first impression that you're having right now. Yeah.
So if you, in their opinion, look worse than the last time they saw you,
then you don't care.
That's it.
Yep, you don't care anymore. You lost it. And I'm never going to be that guy to where you see him and you're like, oh, he's just a shell of his former self.
Did you ever tell Triple H that?
I'm sure I have. I've told him all the time how, like, I talk about how, like, I don't know if you remember, like, the Making of the Game book he had. Like, that basically molded an entire generation of indie wrestlers to where he told people that if you go to Subway, order a 6-inch wheat and get double meat turkey, and that's all you need. So many guys did that for so long.
There's probably a Chipotle hack for that now.
I am curious to read the book now that I have a little bit more knowledge of like weightlifting and dieting and things like that, and seeing how much of it is actually accurate.
Yeah, I'm so curious to know the first moment when you and Candice had an interaction.
Oh, an interaction.
Yeah.
Oh,
and then how did that blossom into
So
creating
I think
a person?
Creating a human. I think the first time we interacted was again, my dates are all wonky. 2000. I'm going to say 2013, 2014, maybe. We interacted at PWG. I think it was All-Star Weekend. Candice was just there with her cousin, and they were visiting the show. I think that was my PWG debut. So like she was in the locker room hanging out, and me and her cousin started talking because I saw her cousin had a Samsung phone. So I kind of slyly started like chatting up with her cousin to get Candice's attention as well. So I was like, "Oh, you have a Samsung phone? I have one too."
I also don't have an iPhone.
Yeah, she hasn't. Candice had an iPhone, so she started being like, "iPhones are so much better." So then that started that interaction where I was like, "No, it's not." So that's when we started kind of interacting with each other. And the first time, and then I brought up a show called Catfish. I'm sure you know the show
of course,
Catfish.
Yeah.
Candice had never seen it before, so I used that opening to find her on Facebook and send her a link to a Catfish episode.
Oh, this is brilliant.
I know. And then
everyone's taking notes right now.
Yeah,
by the way.
and the other play I did, you can ask Candice about this. So we chatted on Facebook and Messenger, and she would say like, why don't you just text me? Here's my number. And she sent me her number, and I was like, oh cool, here's mine back. Because I was like, I don't want to be the first person. I sent you the first Facebook message. It's your turn now. And then she ended up texting me, and
then what was your first date?
Our first date, oh boy! So our first date was actually, it's gonna sound very romantic. You're gonna always take notes on this. Was in LaSalle, Illinois. We were both working for a promotion called Dreamwave at the time, and we both snuck away because we weren't dating yet. We were just talking. We snuck away to a Subway outside of the hotel.
To eat the Triple H meal?
To eat the Triple H meal.
Oh,
yes.
my God.
Comes full circle. And a funny moment is we were sitting there eating, and we looked out the window, and one of my friends named Trent, who was also on the show, Trent Beretta, Greg, with us, we see him walking from the hotel like he's coming to Subway. And as he gets closer, he's like waving, but then he realizes what he's kind of walking in on. But then by that point, he's too far gone, so he comes and like sits with us. So in reality, our first date was also with Trent Beretta as well. Yeah, he probably doesn't remember that at all, but we do.
So what was the moment? There's always a moment with every couple. What was the moment where you went, oh, like this is a thing? Like I really care about her.
So it's funny because the first time I would always, because Candice used to work at Universal Studios as a baker. So she would have to drive from Riverside to Universal, which is about an hour and a half drive. With traffic and things like that, it could be more. Again, who knows? I have a dad brain right now. It could be way shorter than that. Could be calling me out in the comments. But she would always have to drive. And her hours were so weird to where she'd have to drive at like in the middle of the night to get there for early in the morning.
Sure.
So I would stay up. And then she's on California time. So she's, what, 3 hours?
3 hours behind.
3 hours behind.
Yeah.
So I would have to stay up till like... She would leave at like I think like 1 in the morning, so I'd be like 4
in the morning.
So I would have to stay up all night and talk to her on her drive, and like I'm laying in bed like talking to her, but I'm like it's 4 in the morning, so I'm half falling asleep, and I would do that for a lot of the time when she would drive to work.
Oh wow!
So we did that for a good while, and then she ended up coming to Cleveland and working for AIW.
Yeah.
And we had a singles match there, and that was the first time she met my parents. Was after we wrestled each other.
Yeah. How does that conversation with the parents go?
I think they already kind of knew. They already kind of knew that me and Candice were talking. Because then like.
It's like, hey, I just beat up your daughter.
Yeah,
and she beat up me.
And I took her to all the. The first time I met her parents was actually in California.
You beat up our son. Yeah.
First time I met her parents was actually in California after a PWG show where I think we wrestled as well. So I mean, it's always after we wrestle. And when she came to Cleveland, I did all the tourist stuff. I took her to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I took her to all the spots.
Yeah, there's so many.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
And,
Science Museum.
Yeah. What was your job before wrestling was your full-time job?
I used to work at my dad's catering company. So I'd work.
It's named like it's your last name.
Yeah, Gargano's Catering.
Yeah.
And I'd work for my dad from 8 a.m. to like 3 p.m. every Monday through Friday. And then I would go and wrestle on the weekends.
Man.
Yeah.
At what point did you go, oh, wrestling's like a thing? I can like, sorry, Dad. I'm
Yeah,
gonna quit.
that was hard in itself because like my dad's
Sure.
goal was always for me to take over the restaurant. So he never saw the wrestling thing as something that would work out for me. He always believed in me, obviously, but like he is a dad, so he wants to play it safe and say like, here's a safe job you can have. So I'd like you to work at my restaurant forever.
Yeah.
But obviously I had bigger, like my dream was obviously to be in WWE and to wrestle and things like that. So it just ended up being where like I would start having these shows that would be like on Friday or like Saturday or Sunday. I'd have like international bookings, and I'd be like, if I'm leaving for 2 weeks, like, I can't work at the restaurant. So it was one of
Yeah.
those things where like he kind of just accepted that I kind of had to go and do that. And
Man. What's been your favorite gear in your time in WWE? Because everybody knows you for your gear. They were always so good.
yeah, I'd obviously probably say the Iron Man gear holds a special place in my heart because it was like TakeOver New York, and that was like the moment that I won the title and stuff like that. But then like the Spider-Man / Venom gear from TakeOver Brooklyn, and then the TakeOver Toronto Wolverine gear is another one I really like.
I mean, they were all so good. How do you then one up? I mean, you're trying to one up yourself in the ring every time you go in there. How do you one up the, what you're going out with?
That was honestly the most stressful part because like everyone by at a certain point expected certain gear for TakeOver.
Of course.
And so like every couple months I had to come up with something new. And me and my artist at the time, Adam Riches, would like sit down and we'd rack our brain because we also didn't want to be the people that would just do gear just to do it. We wanted it to fit the story. We wanted the character to make sense for what I was going through in the story of the wrestling match. So that was a lot of work in itself.
Yeah. What do you think's the biggest thing that you learned from working so closely with Triple H?
Man, I mean, Triple H has a tireless work ethic, and he is. I would say him and Shawn both are just great at like the small details and great at seeing the big picture in itself as well. It was always great to be able to kind of pick Shawn and Hunter's brain. Hunter is so good at making finishing stretches mean so much more. Like you look at my match with Andrade, we had it going a certain way, but Hunter was kind of just sitting there hearing it, and he was like, "How about this? How about this? How about this?" And he made it 10 times better. But we're so lucky to be in that environment, and I am 100% on board, and so lucky to that I just have a Rolodex of basically the smartest minds in wrestling in my back pocket.
Yeah.
If I had a question, I'd be like, "Hey, Triple H, what do you think about this? Hey, Shawn Michaels, how would you do this?" And I would always run my stuff by them because, like I said, they are two of the smartest people, not just in wrestling, but that I've ever met.
Yeah, what do you think it was that like really endeared you to Shawn Michaels? Because like it was pretty obvious, with your final promo, you guys had like a really, really close relationship.
We do, and we continue to have a really close relationship. Like it's so funny. Like when Quill was born, like everyone reached out. Shawn reached out. Like Hunter reached out. Like I'm so lucky to have such a great relationship with everyone there that I've worked so long with. What endeared me to Shawn? I think he just saw a lot of himself in me, into where like Shawn was during that time period, like the guy that was always overlooked, the little underdog that would always be counted out. He was never the 6'5" guy. He was never the Psycho Sids, or he was never like the big tall guys that they always want to go with. So I think Shawn related, and especially relates to me, Tommaso, the Undisputed Era. Like I felt like he really related to us, and he would take the time and he'd watch all of our indie stuff as well, because he just really appreciated how we would go out there and kill ourselves in front of literally like 20 people on the indies during that time period. Like that blew him away. And like for Shawn, like the passion, the heart, the love, all you put into it, like he really respects that. And he knew too, as I've expressed to him numerous times, how much he meant to me growing up. He was painted on my wall, for God's sake.
It feels like from the outside looking in, you were like his children.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, we still are, honestly. Yeah, we are.
So, like, do you feel like if and when you go somewhere else that you're going to be like, breaking his heart or something?
I don't think so, because me and Shawn sat down a lot of times, and like he was someone who I went to a lot for advice, and like I basically told him, like, especially during this time period, I just got to figure out what is next for me and what I want to do. He totally understood having Quill coming, having a baby on the way, and he totally understood stepping away and figuring out stuff for yourself. You got to think too, like Shawn did that for a long time. When he hurt his back, he was away from wrestling for a good long time period.
Yeah.
And he didn't come back till I think he was like 37, 38.
Yeah.
And then when he had his long run, another long run with WWE.
Yeah.
So I knew better than anyone he'd understand what I was going through, how I was feeling. And Shawn, I'm very lucky that I have such a great relationship with him that he just wants what's best for me. He wants what's going to make me happy at the end of the day.
I mean, you've seen the comments online. You have so many friends there. Everyone assumes you're going to AEW now.
Yeah.
But are you just keeping your options open?
Definitely. My options are 100% open. And I watch everything, honestly. Like you can watch my YouTube video. Like I watched, me and Candice were watching AEW laying in the hospital room. We were watching NXT laying in the hospital room. We were watching Elimination Chamber laying in the hospital room. I literally watch everything. I'm a wrestling fan at the end of the day, and I enjoy good wrestling. And I really enjoy watching my friends be successful.
Yeah.
That makes me very, very happy. Like I don't know really where I fit in right now in the wrestling landscape. But I also feel like the wrestling landscape changes on not just a monthly but a weekly basis, especially this current time period. Like you never know what's going to happen next. It's one of those things where like a new company could pop up, or this person can be in charge, or this person can do this, or this person can do that, or AEW is doing this, or ROH is doing this, or NXT is doing this. Like it literally changes on a weekly basis. So I feel like I'm in a pretty good position right now to kind of sit back and kind of view everything outside the bubble and just figure out what the best fit for me is. Because I don't really know right now where I fit in.
I mean, if you only want to wrestle till you're 40, what are the things you want to accomplish between now and 40 professionally?
See, that's another thing that I got to figure out. Like, I feel really good about the legacy I left as far as, like, work rate goes. As far as, like, I think you can look at my matches with Andrade, Tommaso, Adam Cole, Aleister Black. Like, there's a whole resume there of takeover matches that people will look to and say, that's great. But, I mean, there is a big part of me that feels like, for a certain section of the audience, like, maybe I'm not getting the respect or credit I deserve for some of my work. And I still, at the end of the day, always want to be regarded as a guy who is a great dude, who is one of the best to do it. Great dude being first and probably one of the best to ever do it second. But I still want to, if there's one, I have a bad habit of, I kind of wrestle for love. I've always wrestled for love. Maybe they call that like the insecurity in me of being a chubby kid growing up. Like wrestling was all I had.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly chasing that love. I'm constantly chasing that adulation from the crowd.
Perhaps you should chase money now?
I should. I mean, maybe I should chase money. I probably should. I
mean,
but I don't know if I will.
You've got another mouth to feed.
I do. I have another mouth to feed. But also, I just want to kind of. It irks me if there's like one person out there that says Johnny Gargano sucks. I want to change that person's mind. There's one person. Like I said, there could be 10 people that say.
Then you're never going to retire.
I'm never going to retire because there's always going to be that one person. But
you could have the most amazing matches.
Yeah, it doesn't
week
matter.
after week after week.
Oh, I know. I'm chasing something that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
I'm aware.
I think that's kind of wrestling in a nutshell, though.
That's what drives me.
Is like you're chasing vapor.
Yeah.
'Cause every time you go to grab it, it's gone.
Yeah, I know. And trust me, after every single one of my takeover matches, I questioned everything I did. That's just how I am. But I hope that this time period allows me to miss wrestling, reignites that passion I have for it. So when I come back, I'm fully ready to go 110%, wherever that may be, and give the Johnny Gargano one last fun little ride.
Take us behind what happened when you got called up to Raw.
Yeah.
Because it seemed really quick. It also didn't seem like there was much of a plan.
There wasn't. I did not that I know of. Like I said, I told the story on Renee's podcast, but like I was literally in Cleveland, Ohio when I got the call that I was going to be on Raw that next night, I think. So I had to call Tommaso, and he had to run to my apartment and pick up a suit, pick up my gear, because I literally had to fly from Cleveland to Lafayette, Louisiana. And the whole process, like, it just felt like I didn't know what was going on. And I hate, like, I know that's the nature of the business and that's how it works, is you kind of just got to be ready for anything. But I feel like I work so much better when I have a plan. And that's why I felt like I loved NXT for so long, is because we would commit to these long-term stories with me and Tommaso, or like me and Andrade. Like we tell a long-term story. We put a plan up. I feel like wrestling is best when you kind of plant a flag and you say like, okay, we're going to work to that moment. How do we get there?
Yeah.
And you commit to that plan.
Right.
I know like injuries and stuff can come up and change it. Obviously, the Tommaso thing did that a bunch. But other than that, I feel like that's how I work best. So it just felt like there was no particular like goal in place. And yeah. I mean, I do question if we would have stayed, what could have happened. Like me and Tommaso could have won the tag titles, maybe. We could have done WrestleMania, maybe. Like all those things that I wanted to do, maybe could have started being checked off. But especially for me during that time period, I felt like I had so much more to give NXT, and I wanted to kind of have that match WrestleMania weekend for the NXT title, because I felt like that's where my story was going to go. So to be able to have that match against Adam Cole, if we would have stayed up there, that match would have never happened.
Yeah, it didn't feel like the chapter in NXT was done.
It wasn't done. It was still going.
Start a new chapter.
Yeah. And for me, I'm very much so the process of I like my chapters to be a clean ending, as you can see with how my run in NXT ended.
Yeah.
I love having closure, and it just felt like I got no closure. And until I got closure, I wasn't going to be able to fully commit. So,
and when we've seen it with plenty of guys who get called up, plenty of women, they get called up to the main roster, and it's like whatever they had in NXT, all the momentum is gone. And I think when you and Tommaso showed up on Raw, people went, "Oh no, it's happening again."
Yeah. And that's a horrible way to feel, because these are people that have been working their whole lives to get to that moment.
Yeah.
You should be happy. And I do hope eventually it gets to the point again where when new stars and new people show up on Raw and SmackDown, there's more of a happy feeling. And we're excited to see these people feeling. Because it was like that for a little bit. There was a time period where people would show up on Raw and SmackDown and people would be like, it was like cool.
But it was like a graduation process.
Yes.
Instead, like, people went up and their theme music changed and their gimmick, their whole character changed. It was like, oh, no, they didn't just sign this person.
Yeah.
This person has, like, the fans know who this person is.
I guess that's the hard part, too, of feeling like you want your own thing. But also, like, I think like that was such the disconnect of, like, you'd grow to love these characters, and then you would root for them, and you want to see them move on. But they would move on, and they'd be completely different people. And I guess that's that's the fine line to walk. And I guess it's okay to do that if, like, the developmental show isn't on television and people aren't seeing it all the time.
Yeah, I guess.
But, I mean, that's kind of the fine line they got to walk.
If the door's still open, if you still have a good relationship with WWE, do you still want that WrestleMania moment?
Of course. I definitely do. And I don't know when that'll come, if that'll come. I've said numerous times how I have a great relationship there. Yeah. But, like, I just got to figure out what's going to be worth it for me. Like, what sacrifices am I going to have to make that happen, especially now with Quill being around and being born. I don't want to miss his time. And me and Candice talked about that a lot when I was making my decision, is I would hate to just be on the road constantly and miss, like, his first words or miss, like, him walking for the first time. Like, I want to be there for all those moments, because me and Candice only really plan on having one. So I got one shot at this. I got one shot of seeing all of this and living this part of my life. And if we have one life, I want to try to enjoy as much as I can of this moment. So it's going to be one of those moments to where I don't know when and I don't know where I'm going to feel like, okay, it's the right time to go. But I guess we're going to have to figure that out along the way.
How did you narrow it down to Quill?
So actually, Candice, it was a Candice choice. Candice just showed me on her phone. She had a screenshot of a baby name sort of website, and she had the name Quill screenshotted in 2017. 5 years.
She had never told you this?
She told me it.
Oh, okay.
So, but we were trying to figure out, like, when did we figure out the name Quill? And we thought it was like a couple years ago. It was 5 years ago. We decided on the name Quill. And like all we needed really was the boy, and the boy came. And
Quill could be a girl's name.
It could be, yes, it could be. But we wanted, it to be a boy. So I wanted to be a boy again.
What if he wants to be a wrestler?
So I say all the time, and this is kind of my my guide to fatherhood, or my thought process on parenting.
Please tell me, because I'm not a father, and I'm sure I will be one day soon.
I believe that you can, like, just let the kid make his own choices, or his or her own choices, whatever he wants to be. I will support Quill to the end of the earth. If he loves wrestling, if he hates wrestling, if he wants to do this, he wants to do ballet, he wants to do dance, he wants to be a contractor, he wants to be a firefighter, like whatever his sexual preference is, like I support him 110%. It is his life, his choices. I'm just his dad, and I'm going to back him in whatever he does. That is the way I view things, the way me and Candice both view things, is whatever choices he makes in his life, just back him 110%. But the only choice, I guess, the caveat to that is if he wants to be an NFL player, he can't play for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I appreciate that as a fellow Cleveland Browns fan.
If he wants to be the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, full support.
Let's make a prediction here. What is the Browns' record going to be this season?
This season?
It's always so weird now that it's 17 games, too.
I'm going to go... I guess it depends on who the quarterback is.
I think we know who the quarterback is.
Maybe. I mean, we don't know how things are going to go.
Well, okay. We know who they're going to start the season with.
Maybe, yeah. Hopefully, maybe.
Yeah, all right.
But I think like the talent is there. I definitely feel like we have everything to win the division. Without going
without
too
Big
hard.
Ben too.
I know. I'm gonna go 12-5 as my Browns record prediction. I think they're gonna win. They're gonna win the North. I think they're gonna make a deep run in the playoffs.
Then if they don't win the North with this team,
then it's a failure.
Oh, big.
They're gonna get, especially like
although Joe Burrow's
great,
right?
Joe Burrow's great,
and the Bengals could win the North.
They could, 100%.
Although, like everyone saw all those memes during the Super Bowl, where it's like, here's all the things the Rams have, and then Cincinnati has Joe Burrow.
That's gonna be the tricky thing now too. I do appreciate the Browns front office playing 4D chess to where paying Deshaun Watson $230 million guaranteed. Now, obviously,
so
Lamar Jackson's contract is coming up. Joe Burrow's contract is coming up. They're going to want that big quarterback money. They're going to say, this guy in our division is making $230 million guaranteed. Do the Cincinnati Bengals have over $230 million to guarantee Joe Burrow? That's going to be the question now. Now these lower level, like these low market teams are going to, like, now they got to pay big bucks to keep these quarterbacks. So in a sense, we could outprice the Bengals, and that's how we ultimately 4D chess with it. Andrew Berry's very smart.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah.
Dude, I've thoroughly enjoyed this time.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you for always making the time to chat with us. And we've never done this on. I started doing it after our last interview, but I end every podcast with the same question.
Okay.
I'm all about gratitude.
Yep.
I start and end every day. I say out loud 3 things I'm grateful for.
Yep.
And I end every interview with this. So, what are 3 things in your life that you're grateful for right now?
Family is number 1. Health is number 2, and time, I think, is number 3. And obviously time is the time I'm able to have during this whole time process with my family that is healthy.
Wherever you go, I can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you,
man.
buddy.
Always a pleasure.
So good to see you.
You too.